right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that this event is being televised and recorded by Peabody TV. I'm Liz Mover, the president of the Peabody Special Education Parent Advisory Council. CPAC is a volunteer group of parents, guardians, and caregivers, and we're here to help support families navigating resources that are available to all students. It's mandated by law that all school districts have a CPAC, and another duty of the CPAC is to advise the school committee on matters pertaining to the education and safety of students with disabilities. We are joined here this evening by candidates for school committee, Pamela Millman, Beverly Griffin Dunn, Suzanne Cox, John Swanson, and Paulo Lambracia. I'd like to kick this evening off by asking a question, and once everyone has had a chance to answer, we'll allow anyone in the audience to come up and ask questions. We did ask the public to submit some questions if they weren't able to attend, so we could ask on their behalf. So if people don't feel comfortable coming up, we do have a list of questions we can ask. So our first question is, why are you running for school committee, and what are your qualifications? And anyone who wants to go first can go.
Okay, I'll go first. Hi, my name is Pamela Millman, and my brief history, so to speak, I'm currently an attorney that almost exclusively practices education law. Prior to that, I was a Department of Education education specialist, worked in what's now called PRS and the review teams, so involved training on various IEP things, documents, and actually when the IEP changed, we went out and did the training, reviewed public schools, reviewed private schools, and handled complaints from the public when they were dealing with issues with their district, and helped resolve them and do findings of compliance or non-compliance from the department standards of using the laws and regulations. Before that, I was a school administrator, and I also taught both public and private special education schools. Students, I'd say the area I like the most is middle school. That was my area of expertise, and I enjoy the middle school age. And I live here in Peabody with my husband. I have two daughters, and one of them is now a sophomore in high school, and one of them is a senior at Essex Tech. I'm running for school committee because I believe in the community of Peabody. I have had an opportunity to see the workings from a parent's perspective, as well as represented many families in Peabody, and see that Peabody has a lot of amazing educators and professionals and paraprofessionals as well that work very hard with our students day in and day out. In the last few years, I would say I hear from people, although I represent families and their children, I hear from staff as well, some of the levels of frustration. I'm concerned about having been a member of the public sitting in the school committee meetings and watching the budget process, and came here to actually learn. It was amazing to find out so many different things that I didn't know from a totally different perspective. And I have some ability to offer my knowledge and look at what we're doing to make Peabody what it can be even better. And I think that we need some new blood, new change, and somebody that has a bank of knowledge that I can offer. And I really look forward and hoping to bring that to a committee and work collaboratively with the committee members, other committee members, and obviously the mayor as well. And that's what's brought me here.
I guess we'll just go down the line. Probably the easiest, right? My name is Suzanne Cox, and I am a Peabody resident. I live in West Peabody, and I have two young daughters. I have an almost 3-year-old, and I have a 15-month-old. I currently am the director of occupational therapy at the Children's Center for Communication, Beverly School for the Deaf. I've been the director since 2018. I have my doctorate in occupational therapy from MGH down in Boston. One of the main reasons why I am reaching out and putting my name in the hat to be part of the Peabody School Committee is because of my daughters. I believe that public education should be the gold standard. It should be accessible to everyone. Regardless of learning styles, I feel like public education should be inclusive and available and accessible. And I think right now there's some pieces that might be missing, that it could be that somebody with a different perspective, somebody who works on a team, which includes my families and my students, as well as our administration, could really make that change. I think in my career so far as an occupational therapist, working with kids 3 through 22 who are all IEPs, because I do work at an out-of-district placement for Peabody, gives me a unique perspective on the needs of what our students have and how to approach some of the needs that we have. Otherwise, I think moving forward, I would love to, bridge some of the communication breakdowns that I feel like we're having from an administration to a family level, as well as administration to our teachers and our staff within our school systems. We're only as strong as our communication with one another. So I feel like I am a really therapist who works really collaboratively and knows that I need everyone working together. So that's all about me.
Hi, my name is Pablo Lambreza. I'm a school administrator. As of right now, I am a principal in a K-8 school in Everett. I've been a school administrator in Everett Public Schools for over a decade. I started my career as a social studies teacher at the high school, became a dean of students at the high school. I was an assistant principal at the K-8 buildings, and this is now my first year as the principal of the K-8 building. That is not my main role. My main role is like these two candidates to the right of me have said, is I'm a parent. Parent comes first. That's my the title I love the most. I am also an attorney. Fun fact, I was actually practicing law and coaching high school football, which got me into education. There's nothing like a student coming up to you after they graduate and saying, thank you very much for everything you do and everything you did for me. You really changed my life, or you made a lasting impression on me. And I went to my wife, who's in a special ed administrator in Everett Public Schools, and I said, I can make a very good living being an attorney, but you're never going to have a child come up to you and say, thank you for everything you do for the school system and for me and for my family. There's no price tag on that. I also do coach my children in all their sports. I do have 3 children. 2 of them are in the Peabody Public School System. One's going to start next year. They're both in the West School. We've been living in Peabody for about 13 to 14 years now. Love this place. Absolutely great community, a lot of great people that live in Peabody, and my goal is to ensure that our students, including my children, have the best educational experience that they deserve. I've been able to, being a parent, I've been able to meet a lot of families. As a coach and coaching my kids in sports, I have a lot of players that look up to me. And my goal is to ensure that they have the best educational experience that they deserve to be successful. And I'm hoping that my experience as a school administrator and running a K-8 building, both as an assistant principal and a principal, as well as being part of the high school administration team, will allow me the experience and expertise to be a positive member of the school committee if I am lucky to be elected on. Student first. I'm not going to lie to you, this is probably the most nervous I've been in 15 years speaking, as you can tell. I've been in front of judges and juries and parents. My first time ever running for an elected office. So I apologize for stumbling on my words here. I have notes written down. I haven't even been able to look down at that because I am very nervous. So I apologize for that. We're only human. I don't even know where I was going. My whole thing is I want to be part of a school committee team that puts our students first, puts our staff first, and ensures that every child has access to the educational experience that they deserve here in Peabody Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is John Swanson. I'm running for re-election to school committee. And first off, Liz, and to the CPAC, thank you for having us. This is an awesome opportunity. So to hear us out, and obviously the questions you ask are coming from your hearts. So those that are currently have a little bit more left in the term, we'll focus on those as well. So thank you for that. Again, my name is John Swanson. I'm a 25-year resident of Peabody. I moved up here when I married my wife, bought a house, thought I'd buy a house, grow out of it, move on. I've lived in that house for 25 years. We've raised 3 kids in Peabody, and it's been phenomenal. So I first ran for school committee when my 3 boys were, and Paul, the reason we get nervous up here is because we want this. We want to do well for you and the rest of the residents, so please bear with us as we answer these questions. The reason I ran was very much like the others that spoke, is there's a need. We saw it. We want our schools to be the best. We want them to do better. My students, my sons have all graduated Peabody High School, but having the opportunity to be sitting on this board for 4 years prior, now I see what needs to be done. I know that I can continue moving on with what we've started. We've had conversations with you in the past, and your group, your team, is one that we know needs a larger voice, that wants to be more involved, and we need to enable that. And so where I come from is every student that enters our school system should be prepared when they're done and have every opportunity when they get through high school to do whatever they want. Is it college? Is it workforce? Is it going out and starting their own business? And that's what I want to make sure that our students are prepared for. And again, that's at every level. Not every student is going to choose to go to college. Not every student is going to choose to go and continue their education in any manner. They might just want to go out and start a business and work. I've known many students that have done that. But what it takes is preparation. It takes our staff, which I'm working with throughout the district. I'm meeting with them, making sure they have what they need. As Ms. Millman said earlier, we want to make sure that we do better on our budget than we did last year. We hear from them, and that's my commitment, is to make sure that we're hearing from our staff, which ultimately is going to result in better for our students. They are front-facing, and that's where I'm going to continue to be working. Ultimately, the students, if you guys haven't been in a building, it's one of the best parts of this job. It's one of my favorite parts. I go in to one of the schools weekly and enjoy those conversations with the students. But you also see the struggles that are there. And that's where I get my inspiration for continuing the hard work that I'm doing. I want to continue to build the teams that we're building, fill in the gaps that are here that we've identified over the last couple of years, some that have come to front over the last few months, and make sure that no students left behind. Every educator has what they need to get our students through the systems, and that we continue to improve. You know, we've done a lot since we've gotten out of COVID, as they say, but we still have a long road to go, and we want to do that. And part of that is just make sure that students, the educators, and the parents have what they need. And part of that, to earlier comment, is transparency. Thank you.
Thank you for having us here. I'm Beverly Griffin Dunn, and the reason why I'm running for re-election to the school committee is because I really sat down and thought about why I first ran for school committee and why I want to do it again. My reason when the very first time I ran for school committee was because I wanted to make our school system the best system it could ever be. I felt that we should have that for our students, that the city deserved it. And I've worked hard to do that, and believe me, you know, it is very hard. Honestly, I would like every child in Peabody to be educated in our schools. And I know that's not possible. I know people choose other schools. But I really would like to have a program where everybody wanted to come. That means there's a lot of work to do. So this time running for re-election, the reason that I'm running again is because I know we are facing some really difficult times. Funding is going to be a huge problem. The issues on the federal level have not affected us yet, thankfully, and they won't for a while. Truthfully, if the shutdown continues for a long time, it will hit the schools. And the change in the laws that are happening at the federal level will affect our schools. I knew that was going to be an issue and wanted to stay to make sure that we have the tools we need to be able to work during those difficult times. And I feel like I have the experience to do that. I'm an attorney, but I'm a mother of 4. All 4 of our children graduated from Peabody High School. I'm a proud graduate of Peabody Veterans Memorial High School. Love that school. My husband is from the South Shore. I won't let him move out of Peabody. Honestly, I can't even move out of Ward 2. And that's because I really and truly care about our city. And you'll hear me say it all the time, Peabody is the center of the universe. And I firmly believe that no matter where you go, you're going to bump into someone from Peabody. But I also feel that in order to carry forward that type of a motto, I want to make sure that people know us for our schools for good reasons. There is a lot of good in our school system, but we have a lot of work to do. And I see it daily. I hear from parents and teachers on a regular basis about difficulties. As a school committee member, there are some things that we can do, some things that we can't, but we can always be a voice for people and at least be able to steer people in the right direction or bring their concerns to the right people and not let up, to keep an eye on situations that people are concerned about. And you all know, because I've met many of you, there are specific instances for families that they're facing difficult situations with the schools and with our policies and our procedures. We have to listen. And that's one thing that I always try to do, is to listen to the people who are speaking about an issue. You can learn so much from the families, from the parents, and believe it or not, sometimes the best people to let us know what we need to do as school committee members and as a school department are the students. Every time we have students appear before us, you'll see me ask them questions. And I'll ask them a question about the program they talked about or about an issue that they may have had. They give us more information in their short answers than you can imagine. And it's always good to follow up on it because they're telling the truth. They have a lot of thought behind what they bring to us. So that's one of the experiences that I feel helped me to be a good school committee member, and I will always rely on that. I want people to know that I am dedicated. I've missed 5 meetings in all these years, and they were very serious reasons that I missed. I believe I owe my time to the residents of Peabody, that I work for 52,000 people. Sometimes I have that many emails, and I'm sorry if I'm slow in responding, but I really and truly believe that that's the responsibility you take on as an elected official. And even if someone doesn't vote for you, you still owe them that duty, and especially to the students, because they are the ones that really need voices. Oftentimes, it's the voice of their parents, but sometimes they need a voice, and I feel like I can do that. I want to do that. So I take this very seriously. I take every training available to school committee members. I've been very involved with the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, and I'm proud to say I'm now an officer in that group. Today I was on a group call with the president and the executive director of the National School Board Association, who were giving us information about what was going on in Washington today. Nothing's going on in Washington today, seriously. But they are watching very carefully because there are things that are on the horizon. And I'm going to tell you during the night some of the things that I've learned that I was so surprised about, to hear what may be coming for our schools, not this year, but next year. And that's why I want to be on school committee. I want to be ready to fight against those provisions and make sure that Peabody is able to give a world-class education to all our students. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to step away. I'm going to allow someone else to come up and ask a question. And if no one feels comfortable coming up, some of my board members behind me have their own questions.
Hello, my name is Kendra Patterson. I am the event coordinator for the CPAC. Like Liz said, we had people submit a list of questions for this evening, so I'm just going to start. In your opinion, what are the top needs of our school district? Whoever would like to go first. Do you want to start, Pam, and go down the row again?
Sure, although I feel like it should be like a Yankee swap. The person at the beginning should get to go again. Yeah, okay, good. What was the question again, Kendra?
In your opinion, what are the top needs of our school district?
Top needs. So I think one of the primary things that is needed, and it's a complex question, so simply to say the top. I think everything is kind of intertwined with one another. I think the first and foremost important thing to look at is overall communication and transparency, and that goes all directions. I think what Ms. Griffith-Dunn had said about listening to the students is an awesome way to also make sure we incorporate it's not just about the parents and it's not just about the staff. It also involves the students and having an understanding and a level of transparency of information in understandable ways that it should be provided. Aside from what has been talked about many times over, both in the city in general, but as well as the website for the school district, it's hard to follow, it's hard to find, there's dead links, there's missing information, or it's in, yes, I am an attorney, but or it's in some sort of legalese and really isn't understandable, whether it's something on the website or a policy that's out there. I think that is that has to be made a top priority, not just for the school committee, but for the city, because we all need to work kind of together in bettering our schools, and that's one way to do it. Another component of that I think is truly important is the overall culture of our schools. I'm concerned about the culture in the school currently. I'm concerned about status quo and an average. I want to be better. I grew up on the North Shore, not in Peabody, but very nearby, and Peabody was a beacon of education to be looked at, and it was always great schools of Peabody. I don't think we have been there where we should be, and I think that comes from inside, and I think it comes from top down and bottom up as well. If we don't change the environment, if teachers don't feel supported, if students are not going to be supported, if students aren't going to be supported, it's going to travel back up and back around. I think that's an incredible issue, is the culture in the community needs to change, and we need to be looking at it with taking off rose-colored glasses. We need to look carefully. We need to listen to our teachers and the professional staff very wholeheartedly. And we need them to know that they're being listened to and that their expertise matters. And they're not going to be in jeopardy of losing their job or being reassigned or being moved. I feel that that has been something we have heard, and I think it's terrible. And the kids feel it, and the families feel it. And I think that has to change. We have amazing professionals all throughout the district on all levels, and we need to acknowledge that. We need to look at one another, and we need to be honest about things. We need to share this openly and say, where can we improve? And perhaps it's about doing some more peer-and-peer evaluations, but doing these things that we can take a good, hard look of it and address the hard issues and change the climate and be supportive. Because what happens is then our kids and the students feel supported and are supported with one another. I think everything flows from that. As I said, we have an amazing system here. We have amazing resources. We have, as I learned a lot attending the budget committee meetings, and I give a lot of credit to those, to both John and Beverly. It's amazing of all the work and the hard work that goes behind doing that. It is not an easy job. But I also know that that transparency hasn't been there, and there's even internally questions on who does what. And what are these jobs? And where's the duplicity? And what can we do to create front-facing supportive staff to our kids that are struggling? Struggling, we see it by the test results, and struggling social-emotionally in this community. And that needs to change. Those are the things that I see as top priorities. Thank you.
I feel like we're going to be hearing a lot of echoes from each other as we go through the line here. I would have to say my very top priority from somebody who's going to be entering in, and as I've canvassed our neighborhoods, a lot of my conversations have surrounded the communication and the transparency between our administration, our school committee, and our families, and our administration, our school committee, and our teachers, and our front-facing our staff that are, front-facing with our students. I think something that is continuously coming up is that, even during the budget meetings that we had, it's, well, these positions, why are we putting these positions up and having them be a position that could possibly be removed? Well, is there other solutions? Are there other opportunities? Is there a position that's already filled with that role? And I don't think any of that was clearly identified or transparently shared with our families. So the more transparent we can be and working with our team members, the better off we will be. We are only going to see improvements with our students when everyone is on the same page, when everyone is working towards the same goal. And in order to do that, we all need to be on the same page with our communication. I have had the honor of meeting with our superintendent. I have had the honor of meeting with our special education director. I have met with the directors of the Peabody Prep program all during this canvassing process, and I've had really long, thorough conversations and quite honestly heartfelt conversations about where Peabody is right now and where each of these members of our leadership feel Peabody is right now. And I think, and I've also, in this process, I've also met with several of the principals at our schools as well. So between these conversations, it definitely has shown that communication and the breakdown is causing a lot of internal conflict within our structure. And so I think that would be number one priority. And I feel like as somebody who works with families on a day-to-day and understands the importance of being on the team with the parents, that's something that I can help bridge really successfully while on the school committee. Another thing that has come up quite frequently is our facilities, the schools and the structure of the structures of our schools. And I believe that it's our job to provide school buildings that are functional and a place where our students feel excited to get up and go to every day. I know there are a lot of things that have our hands tied when it comes to our facilities and what we can do to make improvements, but I think it is something that as we continue to move forward and continue to think about what our students' needs are in order to make things accessible and adapt to each learner and their learning styles that they have, we have to start looking at our facilities, not only at the elementary and middle school, but obviously the middle school is beautiful. But within the high school, as we're getting ready to, move forward with a new high school, what are we putting in there? Why are we putting things in there? How are we structuring things in order to access every single learner? Are we going to start talking about, creating more robust vocational programming for our students who the traditional course of academics might not be where their sweet spot lies, and they need more of a vocational approach to school so they can be most successful when they leave? I definitely think, Peabody does a great job right now utilizing the spaces and the materials that we have, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially with a new high school coming down the pipeline, and thinking more creatively of how we can make these spaces a little bit more effective for all of our learners.
Hi, Kendra. How you doing? Sort of the same same kind of level of as my two counterparts there. It's communication, that bridge between community leaders, parents in the school is crucial to creating a successful, having a successful school district and creating an environment that is nurturing for our students and putting them in a position where they are mentally prepared for the academics in the school day and putting them in a position where they could be successful in the classroom. First and foremost, I am one person. I'm hoping that if I do get elected on, I want to be part of a team, a school committee team that puts students first, puts staff first, in ensuring that all of our students, our children, as well as their classmates, and all of students in Peabody have access to a great education. Three issues that I would love to address is the bullying and student mental and bullying issue that we're facing, also with student mental health. First and foremost, I would prioritize expanding mental health services, ensuring that all students have access to mental health professionals inside the class, inside the building, and enforcing stronger anti-bullying policies. Prioritizing and expanding mental health services are crucial for our students to be mentally prepared for the academics they face on a day-to-day basis. If they are not mentally prepared to be in a classroom, it doesn't matter how well-trained and experienced our teachers are. If our students aren't mentally prepared to be there, nothing else matters. So my whole thing is making sure that our students are mentally ready for the strenuous academics that they face on a day-to-day basis. Second is the budget. We are in challenging times with the budget and how much funding that we're getting as a school district. My priority throughout the process would be to maintain a reasonable class size for students, preserve essential teaching and supporting staff positions, and again, expanding mental health services to the school systems. And thirdly, the aging infrastructure, as Ms. Cox has pointed out. We have to create a modern, safe learning environment for all of our students to be successful. And in order to do so, we have to put money into our infrastructure, into our buildings, to ensure that they are safe for our students to go in. And it starts with us. We're the adults. We know what our students need in the classroom. Not only the class sizes in the equipment, but also the building itself, the presentation of our buildings. If students love going to the school building, they feel as though it is safe, they're going to be successful. Every student deserves a safe, supportive, and well-resourced environment to learn and thrive, and it starts with us to put them in a position that they are successful. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you guys have heard throughout this, there's going to be a lot of repetitive. I was scribbling notes down, and as Kendra asked the question, what I came up for my answers, it all ties back to support for students and staff, and that also ties back to families as well, making sure that they're. It comes down to communications, transparency. What is working, what is not working within our buildings. I know we sit up here and we're focusing on what is working, what is not working, and some of the challenges that we must face. But we also want to hear what's working so we can build upon that and improve upon, because we're never going to stop moving forward, never going to stop growing our programs. But on the flip side, what is working? What is working for the students? What is working for staff? What is not working for the students? What is not working for the staffs? That is extremely important, because the staff is the ones that are out facing the students. They're the ones that are seeing how those children are learning, how they're approaching. from the students that you represent, what is working, what's not working? What needs do your students need? Are we listening as a school committee? Are we putting that into the hands of the staff to enable them, to ensure that they have what they need to make sure that the students are successful and have their needs met? So that comes down to communication. Facilities was also what I listed. We do have a lot of aging buildings. As you can see, we're going through. We have a high school that Ms. Dunn is chairing us to get built over the next few years. That is in the process. We just refurbished the center school. So budgets are tight across the city, across our funding, but we're going to continue to try and make improvements where we can, where we have the monies for that. I'm hearing stories about how the students are coming back into the center school. It was a great refurbishment of an existing structure, but that environment is different. Those colors on the walls and the new furniture in there are making the teachers more invigorated. The students are happier in that building. That has to be brought school by school to ensure that they have what they need to be in a learning environment where they're going to be engaging and they want to be for that. And then we're going to have the budget challenges. The budget goes back to our facilities. It's going to come back to the resources that we can put out there. But the budget, for me, in all reality, is going to be going back towards staff and students. We need to ensure that we have the teachers in place, the class sizes are reasonable, and then they have the support staff that they need as well to ensure that, again, the students get the services they need and the attention they need to be successful. We want them to be comfortable, we want them to be focused, and we want them to be learning as well. So the most important thing that I'm going to say is support for our students and staff across our district.
Thanks, John. I'm crossing things off my list because you'll be here for 2 days listening to me. Communications is key, and everyone has been saying it, and I am repeating what everybody knows, but how many years have you heard me complain about that website? That website is terrible. I admit it. If I knew more about technology, I would write a new website myself. I've tried to do as much as I can with that website. It's as clear as mud when you want to look something up, and it's frustrating for me because I know what I'm looking for. So I imagine how hard it is for parents who are trying to look something up on that website. I always look at other districts' websites and pretend I'm going to live there. So I want to see about their schools. And I see what they put out. And I understand what we're missing on ours. I won't give up. Hopefully this year will be the one where we get something done on the website. But it does get to a deeper problem that shows that communications are important for everyone and that there are all kinds of different communications that we need. We need thorough communications with our staff so that people can understand what's going on, not just in their school, but in the whole school district. In my opinion, I see an isolation taking place where one school, they're not told what's going on in the rest of the district. That's not good. We used to know what was going on in all the other schools. People are only being told specific things about their schools. When we talk about communication and there's an issue at a school, people, especially parents and teachers, deserve accurate information. And I will refer to the center school problem. The busing, the redistricting, the staffing, none of that was accurate. That school wasn't even going to open. And I am so happy that it did because it shows what's possible with our facilities. Being able to renovate the center school and improve it absolutely helps our students and our staff. That's now a secure building. It's bright, it's cheerful, it's modern. But you know what else? It isn't just paint and new fixtures and new furniture. They have heat. They have good air quality. They have new equipment in their kitchen. The moldy walls were dug out and pulled out. We have other schools with that same issue, and we have been fighting for years to get those done. And I will take this chance to say this again. I'm very thankful for Mayor Betancourt because he understands it. People are very frustrated that the improvements have not been, overnight in our schools. It takes a long time. Our schools were neglected for a long time. School committee was often faced with the decision, well, do you want to pay $300,000 to fix the water pipe under the under the Kiley School, or do you want to hire teachers? What would you do as a school committee member? You need teachers. The kids need teachers. So duct tape the pipe. Drive by the Kiley School and you'll see the results. Those are really tough decisions, and honestly, right now, since he became mayor, Mayor Betancourt has been taking care of that and trying to fix things. We have Higgins, and I was privileged to run this project. Doing this project, we wanted it to drive improvements at the elementary level and at the high school, and it did. Then we knew we wanted to fix up the elementary schools. We had Center and Welch on that list, and the South, and the West, and the Burke, and the McCarthy. They've all got needs. What ended up happening was the Welch was chosen by the MSBA. We will probably always try to partner with them on money because it saves the taxpayers a lot of money. We get about a 63% reimbursement from the state on those MSBA projects. We applied to the MSBA for windows and heat. Again, one piece of support for your staff and your kids, heat. MSBA came in and said, oh, no, you need a lot more than that. And they gave us the money to do the Welch. And doing the Welch was, again, I was thrilled to be in charge of that project because I learned a lot of what went into designing a modern school. That school is designed around trauma-centered students and for special needs students. And we learned a lot from that, believe it or not, got implemented in the center school. And it's done so that it's not, I'm not going to say noticeable. People who know it's there for a specific reason. It's so that certain kids have a chance to get away and concentrate when they need quiet. Some other kids might need one-on-one teaching. They don't have to leave the classroom. We designed those classrooms so that they can have a one-on-one teacher that won't be obvious to the other kids. I'm not explaining it right. But it was designed with modern thought to be able to have the best possible research behind it, and it worked. So now, we did the center. Now, we can start moving through the other schools. Of course, now we come into a time where money's going to be short again, but we know what we need to do, and we can do it in the other schools. So facilities, we're moving on them. The high school, absolutely, that is a huge project. We've wanted to do that for a long time. We are definitely going to improve our CTE offerings there because a lot of students want to go into the workforce with a trade, with skills. Everybody doesn't have to go to college. So we are improving the high school programming. That will be implemented in the planning for the actual building. It's not just going to be the bricks and mortar of a school. You have to design it around your program. Just so you know, Higgins was one of the very first middle schools designed around a program in the MSBA program. Most were designed like cookie cutting, yeah.
Like an institution.
Yeah, like you'd have a wing for your science, you'd have a wing for geography, wing. No, we wanted to keep the clusters, and this school was designed around clusters and built for clusters. And again, I won't go too far into that because it's really fun to talk about. But one other thing that I wanted to talk about, one of my primary issues this time is literacy. It's so important. I want to improve our school libraries. I want every kid in this district to be able to read. They have to be able to read when they're little. Before they get out of third grade, that's the critical age, K to 3. We have got to improve. I know we're looking at new curriculum, and we're looking at the data-driven scientific methods for teaching reading, but we've gone back and forth on reading. The teachers know what works, and we do need to listen to the teachers. So, one other thing on the budget. The budget is a very frustrating document because it's hard to understand, it's hard to read unless you sit through all those meetings and ask all the questions and be able to get answers. That didn't happen this year. It was rushed, it wasn't clear, the documents weren't clear, and it better not happen again, I will tell you that right now. Thank you.
A few of you touched on this question already, but again, they came from the public, so I want to ask them in order. Last budget season was difficult. What are your budget priorities? Susan, we'll start with you.
I think a lot of the budget conversation comes down to just like what most of us have said, is that there's a lack of transparency of where the money's going, how it's being used, who it's going to, what programs, what curriculum. And so I think top priority would be to clear up all of that communication and have the budget be presented in a way that, and of course this year it was rushed, but have it presented in a way that every single family can understand it and understand what is being discussed about what is being proposed to be removed, what positions or what positions are being added and why, and understanding the why. I am a very confident person when it comes to what my knowledge is and where my specialty lies. However, I have no problem asking why 1,000 times. I also have an almost 3-year-old who why is our favorite word right now. And it is something that I've gotten really good at sifting through the knowledge and sifting through what's out there and finding the correct people to go to in order to get the correct answers. And I think that's a really important thing, thinking about going into the next budget season, is making it so it's accessible for all of our families to understand what is going on and why it is happening. I think that is probably my top priority going into budget season. However, I do think there are things really thinking about facilities and how we can improve the facilities in order to make them more accessible for our students. Obviously, our top priority is going to be student-facing positions. We need to have a fully staffed school. I know working in a school that since 2020, it has been really hard. We have been short-staffed where I am since the pandemic hit. And we retain really wonderful educators, just like Peabody Public Schools has. And I think being able to budget to maintain our staff and keep them here is #1 priority for our students. And also keeping our staff happy and felt like they're heard and understood and that they are supported. So whatever we need to do budget-wise in order to make those big changes, I think is extremely important. And again, thinking about our, high school and moving forward with that project, really thinking creatively about how we can use the budget that we're going to have to create a learning environment that's going to suit everyone. As everyone has kind of mentioned that college isn't for everyone, making sure that there are different learning opportunities and spaces to do it. Thank you.
Hi. I would like to take a student-first approach, prioritizing classroom staff, student-facing staff, and support staff, ensuring that a majority of our resources go back into the classroom to support our students hands-on. Also focusing on mental health services to provide our students additional supports if they do have mental health needs, as well as looking at special ed and EL supports for our children as well. We do have a growing number of EL students entering into Peabody, as well as around the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and their main priority should be learning the education and getting the supports they need in the classroom, so that way they're successful on state testing and assessments throughout their time. Also, professional and development and training for our staff, ensuring that it is budgeted to give our staff the best resources and equipment in professional development that they need to put them in a position where they can make our students successful. Also, talking about competitive wages for our staff, attacking the turnover rate and ensuring that we can get and maintain staff members, and they grow in the Peabody Public School system to ensure that our students get a consistent education from our staff, and also get state and grant funding to ensure long-term sustainability for our budget as well would be key in ensuring that Peabody Public Schools is successful for a long period of time.
Thank you. So the way I heard the question was, how am I going to be approaching this year's budget process? And did I kind of, is that the gist of it? How am I going to be approaching the budget process? So this year, for myself, I'll be very honest with you. When budget season comes up, as a newer school committee member, the first 2 years is drinking from a fire hose. You're asking your peers, you're having meetings with superintendent. The way that I'm approaching this one is not so much from the data, but actually from the staff and from the buildings. What is going on? What do they need? I'll be very honest. I made some decisions last year based off of data presented, but what we need to realize is that the number of students presented at one building is not the same. Even if that number is exactly the same into a different building in our district, it doesn't mean it's taught the same way. It doesn't mean their needs are the same way. And for me, the way that I'm going to be approaching this is meeting with those representatives of the building, those teachers, and understanding their needs, so that, again, as we come into another rough budget, that the information I have gathered, those meetings that I've had, represent what the needs of the district are, and I can make some better, more informed decisions about how we're going to be allocating money. What is required? What happens if someone presents the cutting of a teacher? How does that impact that school? Not just the district, but that school, those students that are on that sheet. That's going to be a very important part of my budget process. The city of Peabody is a very diverse city. We have multimillionaires that have built businesses, work for corporations, and we have families in our districts that are working to survive. Their students feel that. You have a family that is just working paycheck to paycheck, trying to make ends meet. Those students are going to come into our schools. How do we make sure they're comfortable? How do they make sure that their teachers are ready to support them? And that's, again, going to be understanding what those teachers need at each level, so that these decisions can be made, not just by numbers presented to us, but seeing those numbers, understanding what they represent, and attacking it by a classroom by classroom need. In addition, we have some phenomenal grant. Dr. Kelly Chase oversees a lot of our grants. She does a phenomenal job. Her job's going to get harder. We have to be able to support her, see where the money could come from, as well as, unfortunately, in this time, what grants are going to be drying up? Where are we going to start losing money? That is a large part of our funding. So we're going to have to understand that aspect of it, is not just the money that's coming from the federal government, not just from the state, but looking at the budget as a big picture. We're going to have to make some rough decisions this year, but how do we make the best decision between what is provided to us, as well as what we can source from the grants that are there? So that's going to be my approach this year.
My approach is to go back to basics on our budget. I want to see us return to a time where the school councils came and did a presentation to the school committee prior to the budgets, so that we could hear what each individual school planned to do in the following year and what resources they needed to accomplish their goals. We haven't been able to do that. It was necessary. It was a great way of learning about the budget needs. I want that returned. I want the budget sessions to start earlier in the year. We are supposed to have our budget figures to us by February 27th. We do not get those numbers. There's no problem with giving us a budget, even if we don't know what the bottom line is going to be, so that we have time to work with the plan, figure out what we need, and then when we get the final number, all right, we're going to have to work on probably cutting, but at least being able to have the discussions about what we're looking for. That takes time. Cannot do a budget for a school system this size in 2 meetings. It's not fair to anyone. Absolutely not. So I want to go back to basics. I also want to look at the budget in terms of equitable distribution, because we have areas in the schools where class sizes are not the same. No one ever wants to talk about redistricting. We might have to redistrict some neighborhoods to another school. It's hard, but so that everyone has a better shot at small class sizes, then we need to do it. If it's the right thing to do, we need to do it, because that's what the students need. It's also what the teachers need. We need to be able to have information as a school committee and as the public on what exactly is desired in that budget and how we're going to accomplish it. It isn't just a document with numbers. You don't just need a spreadsheet with numbers. We need information to accompany that. We need a narrative. Why do you need money for the new, pick a thing? Why do you need money for the math curriculum? We need money for the math curriculum because we want to increase our scores. Okay. Why do you need reading specialists? We want to increase the number of reading specialists because we need help with literacy so that our children can read on grade levels and beyond. That needs to be spelled out, and it needs to be put into the document so that when that budget is presented to the city council, they have it in front of them too, because school committee passes the budget that we want and then it goes to the city council for approval. They come up with great questions. They ask a lot of questions because they are the ultimate board that's going to give us that money. But they need the information as well to be able to understand what we're asking for. So that's what I'd like. And I really do think that there are grants out there we have to look at. We have to increase them. We do have to look at new sources of funding. We're lucky in Massachusetts because our funding is right now not affected by the federal government, but it will be. So right now, this budget coming up will be tough, but we do have the ability of making a good budget for the following year, for FY27.
Ha-ha. I don't want to echo most of the amazing things everybody has said. I actually want to say a couple of different things about the budget. All right, I'm going to echo one thing. Starting the budget season earlier. I heard that from school committee themselves, attending the meetings and talking about it. I think it was a fiasco. It happened this year, having the city council not approve it and send it back. That was probably a big embarrassment, I think, for everybody, and upsetting. But what I didn't hear was what are we going to do differently, except now hearing, we want to start it earlier. So I think that we can start it today. We could start it yesterday. We can look at the budget that was approved and start visiting it, similarly to the way I and some other people in the public started to do by saying, what are these positions and what are they doing? What is the title? What is the job description? And wow, it sounds like there's a level of duplicity. Well, what are we doing to maintain these positions, and what are we doing to alter the funding and create the positions that we need? We need to ask those questions, and it needs to come from the schools themselves, from the staff, from the professionals, and from our community to say, what is this? Do you know these positions? Do you know who to go to? Do you know what to do? And then we've been hearing that. I'm sitting on a task force, and I'm hearing that we have a lot of questions we still need to ask because we don't know the answers to some of this around the upper administration. I have heard both Beverly and John are sitting on the task force as well and helping out and leading it, and it's a very effective group of asking the questions, but we don't know the answers. And now we're postseason and into the new one. What are we going to do to make it better? We need to ask now and look at last year's budget to see truly, is this all right? Is this what we need to do? Is this where we need to spend the money? Do we need to look at it differently? We're looking at things around mental health. We're looking at anti-bullying curriculum and programs that was shared with us by Superintendent Fadala, a multitude, it might have been 18 to 20 programs that are in the system. Where did we spend that money? Having programs on a board, on a slide? How were they used? Were they effective? Did we ask the teachers? Did we ask the paraprofessionals how they feel supported in direct hands-on with students that are struggling emotionally? And we're looking at these programs that we implemented. Who was using them? Where was the money spent? How well was it spent? Who did we spend it on? Did we reach a large population that we need to reach, or was it siloed into the same 7 kids that sign up for something? We need to reach more students in a more effective way. We're spending the money already. Let's spend it wisely, or don't spend it there. We can't just put up a list of curriculum that we've purchased or programs we purchased, or bringing in the anti-bullying curriculum of folks that come in with basketballs and do a whole motivational display with the kids, and the kids love it. What did that do for us as a whole, as a community? Where are we falling short, and what are the programs we need to put in and that we need to put in directly? How are we supporting in our budget the appropriate professional development for our staff? Do they feel supported? Can they speak up and say they're not feeling supported and request something? And look for that. We need to do that. We need to put money in places where it matters, and we need to be accountable for where we have already put it. Another thing we need to look at, and I hear, and this is the CPAC, so it's the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, CPAC. I hear people talk about out-of-district placements, and we have to look at out-of-district placements. We're spending way too much money putting students in out-of-district placements. Well, we're spending the money to put students in out-of-district placements because we don't have the programming internally. And it takes a lot of hard work to meet the most needy kids of our population. They're not going out of district just because someone wants to send them somewhere else. They're going out of district because we can't meet their needs here. Wouldn't it be great to use our teachers as resources and build more programming to have other people send their students here, like other local North Shore communities have done, and then we have an income revenue that way? Let's build programs, let's ask our teachers what they need, and let's put our funds in a place to keep the kids in district and create programs that are valuable. Let's not make blanket statements about all kids are going to do inclusionary classroom team teaching. We're not going to make blanket statements that no kid needs this type of service because this is how we're going to do it. We need to provide the services to the students that they need. We need to create the resources amongst our own staff using what they need as resources and keep our kids here, maybe bring other kids in and put our money again in the front-facing positions to do that. We're going to have a new high school, great opportunity to look at how do we incorporate more programs in the context of the high school, both the CTE, which is Career and Tech Education, CTE programming, valuable CTE programs. CTE programming, by the way, is not about students that don't want to go to college. To be very clear, they may not want to go to college. They may realize that being an electrician and a plumber is great and they don't have to and can make quite a decent living doing that, but maybe they want to be a plumber and go to college, and we support that too. We support all of it, and we support what students have a vision to do in their own agency and to speak to do that, and we provide them the supports to get there. We create graduation requirements as we're supposed to, and submit those to DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, by the end of December. And we take a look at how do we incorporate what students want, how do we allow teachers create some innovative programming that matches what other students want as well, and make graduation requirements for all students to be successful in whatever it is that they want to do when they walk out the doors of our high school here, when they walk out to be the next person they'll be as a productive member of a society, as the best that they can be in doing it. We want to build that balance for them of what do you want and how do we help you get there. And we do it for all students. We don't just applaud the students that want to go into a trade. We prepare them to go into the trade or anything else. We don't just applaud the students and list off the colleges at the end of the year. Maybe we list the places kids are being employed. Maybe we list all these different things for all these students, and we meet kids where they're at and what they need, and prepare them for the step outside of the school and they graduate, and even beyond that. And that's where our money needs to go, and thinking about that and being creative and being resourceful and looking at how there's different ways to do it. So in general, and again, I didn't want to repeat because most everything everybody said is still all quite the same, but a little bit different and a little bit of a twist on what do we do with what we've already done to how to make it move forward. We don't have oodles of more money coming in. We have to figure out how to better do it.
Thank you all for your thoughtful responses. Moving forward, we have quite a few questions left, so if we could limit our responses to about 2 minutes, that would be grateful. We would greatly appreciate that. And Liz is going to start asking more questions. Thank you.
Just kidding, it's not Liz. It's Hillary. Hi, I'm Hillary Gately. I'm also a board member on the CPAC. The question that I wanted to ask is kind of going to dig into the out-of-district placement a little bit more and special education and what your vision is. So year after year, out-of-district expenses account for a significant share of the school budget. As a member of school committee, what initiatives or changes would you advocate for to ensure Peabody Public Schools meet the diverse needs of all students, including those with special needs, thereby reducing the need for families to seek education out of district? Who would like to go first? All right, sure.
Thank you very much. I think in order to be a successful school department that keeps our students in district, we have to give the appropriate training, equipment, and resources for our students and staff. In order to keep our students in we could talk about compliance, but if our staff isn't skilled equipped with the materials and resources they need to be successful and provide their students with the necessary needs that child has, it's not going to be successful to keep the kid in district. What we have to do is we have to allocate funding and money to make sure that our teachers are getting the professional development they need to ensure that the children that are in front of them are getting the services that they need to be successful and put in a position where they're successful. Every child is different. Every child learns differently, and it's our job to trust our staff and students and administration to ensure that our schools are properly equipped, make sure that each child, however they do learn, are put in a position where they can excel, whether it's inclusion services or subsessory services. Let's make sure that our teachers and paraprofessionals and those working directly closely with our students have the proper training and skills to put our students first.
Thank you. I'm going to build on, because Paula's not wrong. It starts with, again, making sure that our facilities and our staff are prepared. But one of the questions that I, just thinking this question through, where I haven't heard over the last few years is why are we doing out-of-district placement? What are the trends? What are we missing? So I think really, we need to start with identifying why are we outplacing, what is missing in our systems that's not supporting our students, and then spitting that back to, as Paulo said, making sure that our staff, our facilities, our programs have what they need to support our students. And that is a bit on me that I have to take back and understand the whys. Not so much, I know we're missing programming where we have, where we don't have the things in place to support these students. But again, what are the trends that we need that are placing these students out of district and then bringing that back in-house itself? Thank you.
We used to do that. We used to look at groups of students that had the same special needs and run programs for them. I don't know why we've stopped doing that. We have to do that. That would allow our students to stay in our district and possibly have people from other districts come in. But the most important thing would be able to have our children educated with their family and their neighbors. And here in Peabody, we have to do that again. One of the things that people always contact me, I see numbers of people writing to me about their children having problem with dyslexia. Why we don't have a specific program in our district for children who need help with dyslexia is beyond me. I honestly don't know the numbers of the specific groups of educational needs of our students, but I would like to see a report in that regard and figure out where could we have the groups of kids stay together and be able to be educated here. And I understand financially it's a good thing, but I also think that morally it's a good thing too to be able to have them stay here. They don't need to be sent on a bus ride for an hour. And I am not taking away from students who absolutely do need out-of-district placements. Sometimes there are things that we just are not equipped to take care of, and somebody can do it better. Then those students deserve the best. They deserve the best, no matter the cost, no matter where they have to go. But if we were able to help many more students in our district, I think we should look into that and figure it out.
I already talked a little bit about out-of-district placements and not remembering the exact wording of your question, which is fine. I can say this. One of the things that I think I bring to the committee if I am elected is that I have real knowledge because I've had real representation of many families in this community that have felt very torn having to have their kids not receive their education here. And sometimes people think that an attorney gets hired just to take their kid out and they want to go to Landmark or they want to go to the Neshoba Learning Group or they want to go to one of these other private placements or they want to go to BSD, Children's Communication Center. But actually, families really want their kids educated in their home community with their home peers and their home friends and their home neighbors. And so we do have gaps. We do have missing links. But what I've heard in my talk and people reaching out to me and in my representation, and I've heard it from staff and I've heard it from families, and actually heard it from families more because staff have felt they can't speak in a meeting. And that's terrifying to me. That they feel that they can't discuss what they would need to keep the kid in the district, and that they feel that they can do it. And they haven't been able to say it. And that's not okay in any system. That's not okay. We have amazing professionals here, amazing professionals that want the students to stay, that want to be able to provide to them. Not every school in our community is going to be able to give everything to everyone, but there is a way to meet the needs better than we are today. And we need to allow our teachers, without fear and repercussions, to hear their voices and for them to be able to say it to their supervisors, to our superintendent, to our director of special education. We've had many directors of special education over the years. I've worked with At least the last 6 of them, maybe in the last 6 years it's changed that much, I don't know. And there's been this turnover, and now we're kind of here, and people just, maybe there's not a comfort level. Out-of-district placements are there for a reason, and there will always be students that will need them. With our low-incidence populations, there is going to be some kids that will need it. But more often than not, there are things and resources within our own community that we could better do, create, and provide more support and resources to our teachers to meet those needs. And teachers, I'm hearing, are not feeling that they can talk about it and say, this is what I need, and we could keep that kid here. That's super important. So once again, it's about communication, clarity, transparency, and feeling supported that you can stand up and say something. And what I can bring, if I am elected, is some real knowledge and real representation of what I am hearing out there that we all need to hear and scratch our heads and say, what can we do differently? And now let's look at the out-of-district placement kids and what could we create here to bring them back? The majority of parents, if they knew what was here and being created and created for their kids, would bring them back. Parents want their kids in their home community with their home peers. Out-of-district placement is not something that has to continuously be increasing in the budget over and over and over. That can change. Thank you.
I will try to keep this to the 2 minutes. I think I bring a very unique perspective to this question as somebody who works at an out-of-district placement. I think there's so many things to consider. All of this starts at an IEP meeting, right, with the whole team. So you have your staff, sometimes you have advocates, you have your student if they're 14 years or older, and now with the new Massachusetts IEP, we are getting input from our students when they start on an IEP at 3, right? So we are starting to get information from our kids and having them be part of our team much sooner in their educational programming, whether that be in an out-of-district placement or within their school district, right? And when these discussions happen, they are so lengthy, and it is an out-of-district placement conversation comes up when the school has exhausted their opportunity within the school program that they have. I don't know one parent that I work with on a day-to-day basis that is like, the very first IEP, I sat down and said, I'm going out of district, right? Every parent has worked with their districts, worked within Peabody in order to try to provide what their students need. You know, some of it comes down to what the students' physical needs are, right? There's just sometimes facilities in a school are not equipped to take care of a student who needs a Hoyer bathroom table change. It's not, something that is physically capable of our buildings. So that's when you have to start looking at different placements for them. I understand an out-of-district placement is the most restrictive learning environment when we want to foster the least restrictive learning environment for our students. And so I think there's really creative things, as we've all said, that there's always going to be a need for an out-of-district placement. Right? Our students deserve education to meet them where their needs are. And if that is an out-of-district placement, then I do think that that is going to be the appropriate route that the IEP team comes to the final agreement on. However, I think there's a lot of things that we can do if a student is deemed an out-of-district placement student that we can do to bring them back into Peabody. In my talks with our superintendent and our special education director, I talked a lot about peer mentorship programs, bringing in for different activities within the school building. I know I have students who I work very much on life skills, right? Doing a life skills block with some of the CTE students in the high school. I have students who are really working on, improving their ability to, complete different job tasks. How can we pair up with our public school students and allow them to work side by side with our students who are placed out of district for whatever reason they are? I definitely think that an out-of-district placement is appropriate when all other avenues are exhausted. And parents have tried everything working with the schools. Our teachers work tirelessly. Our admin work tirelessly to help these students. And we really need to meet them where they are and provide them the services that they need. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. I'm going to turn it back to Liz.
Thanks, everyone. We could be here all night. Trust me, I have a whole list of questions. But in the essence of getting everyone home and ending when we said we would, I just want to allow everyone about a minute or so to say whatever you would want to say. And maybe we'll start at the opposite end of where we started.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you to the CPAC for having all of us here. It's very hard to get your message out when you're a candidate because you want the public to know what your hopes are for, in our case, for the schools and for the students and for the community. So I appreciate this. I do hope people would consider me for their vote. I feel that I've proven that I am dedicated, that I am experienced, that I have the education behind me to do a good job on the school committee. If you know me, you know I do not give up. I won't give up. We have to have the best education possible for our students, and I'm ready for what's coming in the future because I know it's going to be difficult, but I can assure you I am ready to fight for our kids and for our families. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Liz, thank you for CPAC. Thank you for pulling this together. To our fellow candidates, thank you for the thoughts as well. As we started this, when Ms. Dunn started a little bit earlier, she said one of the best parts is hearing from the students. Similar to this is phenomenal because it brings the questions. You know, some of us had the pleasure of working with some of you in the past, so we know your concerns. But these questions bring forward and put out to the public what we should be paying attention to. And I ask for your vote, and hopefully you have the confidence in me. Now that I've sat for almost 4 years, I see what's working, I see what's not working. I've been able to develop plans to start attacking and working through all these problems. Things can't happen quickly or don't happen quickly. As I said earlier, you're drinking from a fire hose your first 2 years, and then you're developing plans. You're seeing what the problems are. We have phenomenal support from our existing committee members. But now I'm in a position that I know what needs to be done. I'm attacking things. I'm not one that is out and really standing on a podium. I'm in the background. I'm making changes. I'm listening to what people are asking me. I'm listening to questions that are coming up, and I'm making change in the background. That's how I attack things. And I'd love the opportunity to continue to work for you as well as the rest of our staff and our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz and CPAC, for having us tonight. It was a very nerve-wracking hour and a half. I'm not going to lie to you. I am, first and foremost, I'm a father of 3 lovely kids, a husband of a wife that's in education. Just like every other parent here, we're looking for the best possible education for our for our children, as well as our children's friends, as well as every one of our friends' children. I'm hoping that my experience as a school administrator over a decade will give me the tools and the vision I need to be a successful member of a school committee team if the chips fall in my favor. I'm just looking to work hard for the community, be a successful, be a positive role model in this community, ensuring that PB Public Schools has the resources, the staff and the students have the resources and the funding that they need to ensure that every student in Peabody has the ability to access an education that they rightfully deserve. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Liz and the CPAC. I really appreciate the time to sit down and chat with you all. I really believe that public education should be the gold standard. I believe that public education should be enough and should be what our students need in order to graduate and succeed, right? So how do we do that? We do that with a strong team of people working together with the same mindset, the same, thought process, working collaboratively together. If I would be able to gain your vote, not only would I be honored to have your vote this coming November, but I really think that I would be able to bring and approach the next school years to come with a collaborative and effective manner, working not only with the school committee, but with our families and our staff. My overall goal is to help create and foster a school system that I am confident in and I am proud to send my daughters to in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you to the CPAC, thank you to PBD TV, and everybody in this building that lets this happen here. Appreciate it. We all appreciate it. It's great for us to be here and get this time to talk to folks, and that's a big thing. People should know and be informed voters, and most importantly, vote on November 4th. Go out and vote. Tell your friends to vote. Everyone should vote. My last, I guess, final words, and now I get the final say. That was the benefit of starting. I get the last word. Okay. I feel like I have the ability to ask the real hard questions based on my experience, my representation. I have real knowledge to ask real hard questions and the follow-up questions and the questions after that. I think that is a piece of an opportunity to give myself to my community. That's a big deal. That will make change, hopefully, for everyone. I'm not going to sit back. I want to propel us forward in year 1, not year 2, 3. I want to do it right away. I want to ask the questions and demand the answers and ask the follow-up questions and go from there. And that's not just to our administration, that's to the staff and that's to the students and being very involved. That's what I plan to do, that's what I want to do, that's what I've done in a different way. This is an opportunity for me to do it even more and even a bigger approach. Peabody has so much to offer. We're a very rich community and a culture, and everything we have to offer needs to come out. We need to be a beacon on the North Shore for the education that we provide to all of our students. It's no longer called No Child Left Behind, because that insinuates someone has been left. It's called Every Student Succeeds Act. That's what it changed. That's what the law is called. Every student succeeds. We want our students to succeed. We need to make it happen. We need to put our action steps forward and forward now. At the same time, as a collaborative worker with other people and on a committee, I'm looking forward to doing that, to gaining knowledge where I have missing parts, building committees such as. Those are things I don't know as much about. And I'm looking forward to learning, being on the committee, and learning from others, and working collaboratively, and making us propel forward in a positive way, which we absolutely can do. There's no doubt in my mind. So I would appreciate your people's vote, and most importantly, go out and vote November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you again to everyone for joining us this evening and for all of your thoughtful answers. And thank you very much to PBD TV for recording this, and we will put out the recording on our Facebook page and our website. I'd like to remind everyone to get out and vote. Pam stole my thunder, to vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And if you're unable to be present on the 4th, early voting will be held at Peabody City Hall Monday, October 27th through Thursday, October 30th. If you'd like more information or connect with CPAC, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram or through our new website. We hope to all see you soon and have a great night. Thank you.